Hi, my name is Bruno Sade from brunosade.com, and today I want to talk about the following. As we know in EFT, we want to go from the global, the general issue, to the specific targeted events. So this may be past memories, they might be future made up scenarios, and we especially want to work on the sensory aspects within those specific events. So let's say, for example, that I'm working on the issue of fear of rejection. Then what I want to do is tap on specific events where I might be rejected in the future or where I might have been rejected in the past. And I want to focus especially with my tapping on the sensory elements within those specific events. So, for example, it might be, even though when I remember asking this girl out when I was 15 years old, and she said, "No way I'm going out with you." That makes me feel in this moment an emotion, let's say sadness, and I feel that emotion, that sadness in my throat area. And this is what I'm noticing right now. That would be a setup statement to work on that specific event. Now, sometimes what might happen as we are tapping on those specific events and the sensory aspects within them is that we notice that one of the aspects coming up isn't so much a sensory aspect, but it's more like a global thought, phrase, or statement. So I might be working on this memory of being 15 years old and asking a girl out and her saying to me, "No way, I'm going out with you." And that made me feel that I'm really attractive or unlovable, etc. So these are more like global statements or general statements. So what do we do in that case? Because usually if we tap just on global statements, what might happen is that we start thinking about all the different times in our lives when we have felt that way. And therefore our tapping stops being focused and targeted and becomes a bit too overwhelming, perhaps too global, too general. And it's like we are trying to bite more than EFT can chew, at least in a round of tapping. Therefore, what I recommend to do in those cases is to tap on that global statement that's coming up, but keep it still referenced to the specific event. So here's how this might sound like. Even though, as I remember asking this girl out when I was 15 years old, and she said, "No way I'm going out with you," that made me feel like I'm really unlovable. And when I think about that now, it makes me feel sad in my throat. And this is what I'm noticing right now. Or I accept myself anyway. So in this way, you are not leaving out perhaps an important aspect of that experience, which is how that event made you feel about yourself or what it made you believe about yourself. I am unlovable. But you are doing it in such a way that you are keeping it referenced or contained to that specific event. So you are tapping on the global statement in reference to the specific event. So that's how I would recommend dealing with those situations when they arise. I hope this was useful, and I look forward to seeing you again in one of my next videos.